oh, she looks guilty as hell. And then I'm looking at it and I'm saying, did you really say that? Mm-hmm. Did you really say that Caitlin Clark should think of Heavenly Stars, that she wouldn't be worth anything if she wasn't playing in the WNBA? Did you really say? See, all of these things that Nafisha Collier brought up.
And with that, welcome back to another episode of the Clark Update. Today we have a story that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. A massive moment in the WNBA has got everybody talking, and these brand new developments might completely reshape the entire conversation. Make sure to stick around with me until the very end, because we are going to break down exactly what happened, why it matters so much, and where things go from here. Let us dive straight into the details. The WNBA has been fighting hard for mainstream attention for 27 long years. Now, finally, a genuine superstar is bringing in absolute truckloads of cash and drawing millions of brand new viewers. Yet, the league office is throwing a tantrum, naturally. A wild piece of news was just exposed by Stephen A. Smith. It really seems like the commissioner herself might be trying to destroy her very own golden goose. This is not just about the game of basketball anymore. This is driven entirely by corporate jealousy and a desperate need for ego control. If you are enjoying this coverage, please take a quick moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Believe it or not, more than 85% of you watching right now still have not subscribed. It is completely free and only takes you a single second to do, but it honestly means the absolute world to us. So have you clicked that button yet? Awesome. We truly appreciate your incredible support. Now, let us get right back to the action. Hey there, Caitlin.
Can you make it from there? Hey, Caitlin, how about from here?
Come on, guys.
Yeah, she can't make it from there. No chance.
Caitlin, mamito, what? You got it.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Hey, Caitlin, from here might be impressive. Am I right?
Whatever, Che.
From right here.
From there.
The boys wanna be her, the child wanna be her.
Or has the management of the WNBA completely lost their minds? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, because this whole situation is absolutely wild. Let us break down what actually went down. A brand new commercial featuring Caitlin Clark, the standout star of the Indiana Fever, has recently started making the rounds online. Now, that sounds like a totally normal thing, does it not? Well, think again. As it turns out, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and the rest of the league executives reportedly lost their minds over this advertisement. We are talking about secret meetings behind closed doors, heated phone calls, and what Stephen A. Smith is describing as absolute fury from the high-ranking officials.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low. Because she's the number one pick, she'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform. So, she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all about the ecosystem.
But now, take a second to realize how incredibly backward this mindset is. Millions of sports fans who would normally never tune into women basketball are suddenly getting eyes on your league, all because of a massive national advertisement starring your biggest superstar. Under normal circumstances, any competent professional sports franchise would react to this with pure excitement and celebration. They would put out enthusiastic press releases, blast the news across social media, and ride this wave of popularity all the way to the bank. But not the WNBA. Instead, their reaction seems to be filled with resentment and anger. And Stephen A. Smith did not just speculate about this behind closed doors. He essentially came out and confirmed it to the public. All season long, he has stood out as one of the most passionate advocates for Caitlin Clark, but his latest comments have taken a far more serious and concerning turn. He is no longer just talking about standard on-court drama. Now he is shining a light on what he believes is deep-seated dysfunction within the executive ranks of the league. Stephen A. Smith claims that the overall vibe coming out of the WNBA front office is definitely not one of pride or celebration for their historic success. Instead, there is a deep sense of panic and jealousy brewing, all because one single athlete has somehow eclipsed the entire league itself. It is full of anxiety and insecurity. And look at who was featured in that spot. Lisa Bluter, Travis Scott, they were all right there. Travis Kelce made an appearance. Jason Kelce was featured, and they even referenced their hit podcast, which we will discuss in just a moment. Let us take a closer look at exactly why this specific commercial managed to trigger such absolute chaos. Caitlin Clark is not shown as just another WNBA player in these expensive commercials. Whether they are spots for Wilson, Gatorade, or State Farm, she stands out as a solo powerhouse and a cultural phenomenon. The production value of these is just enormous. To the league office, she looks incredibly strong, totally self-reliant, and most importantly, even bigger than the WNBA itself. That commercial was super hyped up. And they also launched the campaign Call From Anywhere, which is just perfect for Caitlin Clark. And obviously, fans have been waiting for a Caitlin Clark signature shoe for years. It honestly feels like years at this point. She is now 2 seasons into her career in the WNBA, and while we have gotten her signature logo and some merchandise, that signature shoe is what has everybody sitting on the very edge of their seats. And she recently went on New Heights once again to discuss her signature shoe, and she talked about the new technology that will be going into it. This is amazing for the fans because you want to watch basketball when it is truly thrilling. However, this means a complete loss of control for league executives like Cathy Engelbert. You see, that specific image was not produced by the league. They have absolutely no control over the story and never approved the creative direction. The commissioner sees an elite player who does not actually require the WNBA to thrive when she sees Clark starring in these sophisticated ads. Clark commands her own kingdom, her own economy, and her very own gravitational pull. This total loss of leverage is the exact source of the anger that Stephen A. Smith frequently discusses. Professional sports leagues typically maintain massive control over their players, since the athletes depend heavily on the league for both visibility and compensation. That conventional dynamic has been completely and totally bypassed by Caitlin Clark. Everyone is fully aware that she earns much more money off the court than she does on it, because having that kind of money equates to having real power. And power deeply unnerves individuals, especially those who are accustomed to being in charge. According to industry insiders, the timing of this specific commercial really sparked things off. Throughout the entire season, the league has made a valiant effort to promote a shared collective narrative, constantly reminding everyone that there are plenty of other players involved. They desperately want you to concentrate on the system itself, the other players, and league history. Then, in just 30 seconds, this commercial appears and completely destroys that exact message. It serves as a stark reminder to all viewers that the commissioner is not the one who is genuinely generating interest in this league. That girl from Iowa is capable of draining deep shots from the logo. The leadership finds it truly uncomfortable to juxtapose Clark's luxury brand partnerships with the WNBA's own antiquated low-budget marketing initiatives because it clearly highlights their ongoing failure. That public humiliation is now turning into rage. The WNBA battled to become well known for 27 long years. Then one player gets up and does something they have not been able to do for almost 30 years, all in a single season. That has to hurt. Regarding this, Stephen A. Smith has remained completely unrelenting. He has highlighted just how ridiculous it is for a commissioner who purports to be an expert in business to feel emotionally compromised because one player is receiving massive, excessive attention. He contends that sheer executive incompetence is being concealed by all this anger. Every single time Clark signs a big contract or appears in a viral ad, it serves as a painful reminder of all the things the WNBA has failed to accomplish over the years. Just consider it from the viewpoint of Cathy Engelbert. You are the commissioner, and you are supposed to be the business-savvy leader who finally expands the league. Then Gatorade, Wilson, and State Farm market your sport much more effectively than you ever did. It is deeply embarrassing. It clearly reveals that you are not particularly skilled at what you do. Therefore, the reaction seems to be pure resentment and bitterness, rather than actually learning from it and employing better marketing teams to match that incredible energy. Additionally, Stephen A. Smith connected that locker room behavior directly with the boardroom attitude. Why would rival players feel any need to respect the commissioner if she herself is rolling her eyes at Clark's massive financial success? That toxicity quickly seeps down. It sends a clear message to everyone else that it is open season when the league leadership fails to safeguard their biggest star, treating her massive accomplishments with animosity rather than pride. Some of the absurd hard fouls and cheap shots we have witnessed this season can probably be explained by this very dynamic. We really have to comprehend this anger in light of WNBA history. A very specific group with a particular mindset has been running this league for many years now, viewing the WNBA primarily as a cause and a social movement and a collective effort that demands to be respected and acknowledged. Then comes Caitlin Clark, who represents unadulterated individual fame and massive commercial success. She simply does not conform to their norm, completely upsetting the well-established hierarchy. This exact disruption is expertly highlighted in the commercial, which depicts Clark as an entirely isolated force standing far apart from the group. For decades, the WNBA leadership has worked hard to convince the world that the league itself is the actual product. They actively market the collective and the league shield, whereas Clark is marketed strictly as an individual symbol by her brand partners. Right now, there is an immense amount of tension building up over this fundamental clash regarding what actually sells. The old guard of the league feels deeply betrayed by it all. They honestly believe that just because some girl from Iowa can film a quick video from anywhere and instantly go viral, all of their years of foundational ground-laying work are being completely overlooked. This is the exact same high-stakes intensity that ultimately led to Clark being completely excluded from the roster for the Olympic selection. As Stephen A. Smith recently pointed out, the old guard made that specific choice to send a clear message and protect their established hierarchy. You must wait patiently for your turn. Pay your dues, they say. But here is the thing. Massive commercial brands do not give a damn about waiting your turn. They pay cold cash for relevance in the absolute present moment. A massive wave of internal chaos is being triggered by this fundamental mismatch between the ultra-fast performance-based world of corporate advertising and the incredibly slow seniority-obsessed league office. The commissioner finds herself trapped right in the middle, and she is becoming increasingly angry at this new reality instead of actually adjusting to it. Since professional sports are, at the end of the day, meant to be a money-making business, let us talk about the cold, hard cash. This sudden outrage over Clark getting her own major commercial is a perfect example of the corporate misconduct that Stephen A. Smith has repeatedly accused the WNBA leadership of committing. Normally, when a superstar in a major league like the NBA or the NFL lands a massive national advertising campaign, the commissioner absolutely celebrates. And why is that? Simple. Because it drives up the overall value of the entire enterprise. It draws casual sports fans into the arena seats. It sells heaps of merchandise. So, why exactly is the leadership of the WNBA so incredibly upset? Well, because they are not getting the credit for it. It makes the entire league look cheap and deeply unprofessional when her massive off-court endorsement earnings completely dwarf her actual on-court salary. It is an absolute public relations nightmare. And that nightmare hits hard when average sports fans see Clark starring in multi-million-dollar ad campaigns, only to realize the WNBA pays her a base salary of just $76,000. It shines a bright, unforgiving spotlight directly on a massive pay disparity and the complete lack of real revenue sharing in women's basketball. And the commissioner knows this. She is fully aware that every single high-profile national commercial shoot serves as a painful reminder to the public of how badly the WNBA underpays its biggest stars. It demands a closer, much more critical look People are starting to ask some incredibly awkward questions like, why is the league so broke if this one girl is generating such an insane amount of attention and money? Instead of actively fixing their outdated revenue model or appreciating this massive wave of free exposure, the league's leadership immediately gets highly defensive. It honestly feels like they would prefer Caitlin Clark to be a lot less famous, just so they would not have to confront these incredibly difficult financial questions. Squabbling and fighting over tiny crumbs while Clark is busy baking a whole new cake is the ultimate definition of a self-defeating scarcity mindset. Let us shine a light directly on Commissioner Cathy Engelbert in particular. She was brought into this role as a highly corporate CEO type from D Out, someone who was supposedly an expert at scaling businesses and crunching numbers. Yet, this absolute whirlwind of a Caitlin Clark phenomenon has completely outpaced her. Faced with this booming new commercial era, her responses have been incredibly awkward, stiff, and completely frozen. Remember when that very same commissioner struggled during a live television interview to answer a straightforward, simple question about the intense racial toxicity being directed at Clark? Her weak attempt at delivering a polished corporate non-answer backfired on her in a truly miserable way. According to Stephen A. Smith, Cathy Engelbert is deeply frustrated right now because she knows the spotlight is shining directly on her own shortcomings. At the end of the day, these WNBA franchises are owned by sharp business people. These owners see the skyrocketing numbers, the packed arenas with sold-out crowds, the merchandise flying off the shelves, and those chartered flights that Clark practically forced this league to finally adopt. If the commissioner is viewed as a major roadblock to actual progress and the people think she is being petty about endorsement deals instead of capitalizing on them, she will not be holding on to her job for very long. When you dig down deep, pure fear is likely the actual source of all this anger. There is an overwhelming worry that she is being exposed as a completely wrong and inadequate leader for this fast-moving new era. Cathy Engelbert simply does not seem capable of keeping up with the breakneck speed of Clark's massive growth. That new commercial perfectly represents that pace. It is sharp, fast, and highly appealing to global audiences. Meanwhile, the official promotional campaigns put out by the WNBA itself often feel incredibly clunky, forced, and completely out of touch. In this glaring battle between modern execution and outdated corporate stiffness, the commissioner is losing the public relations war terribly. Behind-the-scenes reports suggest that instead of stepping up to match Clark's intense energy, the commissioner is simply bitter about being completely overshadowed by her own star player. The absolute only word that truly fits this situation is jealousy, so we have to call it what it is. That is the exact term Stephen A. Smith used on air. It is the exact same word Charles Barkley used too. Look, we are highly accustomed to talking about how rival players might be envious of one another on the court. But now, Stephen A. Smith is exposing how that bitter envy has managed to crawl all the way up into the executive suites. A league commissioner being jealous of her own premier player, but why on earth would that be? It is simple. Because Caitlin Clark wields far greater real-world power and commercial influence than Cathy Engelbert ever could. The entire sporting world stops and hangs on every single word Caitlin Clark says. Meanwhile, people completely ignore Cathy Engelbert or do not even recognize her whenever she tries to speak. For an elite corporate executive who is highly accustomed to being the absolute boss in every room, that is a brutal, humbling reality check. No matter how the current league standings shake out on any given night, this brilliant new commercial permanently solidifies Clark as the true, undisputed face of women's basketball. For decades, the league office desperately tried to manufacture their own superstars and dictate to the fans who they should root for. But the second Clark stepped onto the scene, everything exploded spontaneously, organically, and completely unstoppably. This intense anger feels exactly like a micromanager who has completely lost control. And because Caitlin Clark does not actually need their permission or their money, they simply cannot dictate what she wears, what she says, or which major brands she signs endorsement deals with. That fierce independence directly threatens their power, and it shows itself in some pretty bizarre ways, like how agonizingly long it takes for the official WNBA accounts to post Clark's highlight clips compared to those of other league players. All season long, fans have documented this trend. It clearly starts at the top, and it looks incredibly immature. Yet, what the league actually chooses not to do is easily the most striking part of this entire situation. Did the league's official account even repost her massive new commercial when it dropped? Did they congratulate their biggest star for bringing this game to a much wider audience? Did they celebrate the partnership with a press release? No, nothing but total silence. When NBA stars launch new signature shoes or major ad campaigns, the league promotes them heavily because they know it builds up the entire basketball ecosystem. The WNBA has stayed completely silent on all of Clark's commercial success. This validates all of Stephen A. Smith's claims. You only ignore your biggest star's massive achievements if you are deeply resentful of them. This stubborn silence is actively and intentionally damaging the league's relationship with its own fan base. It is a huge deal that Clark brought in millions of brand new fans. They see the glaring double standard, and they witness that animosity daily. They are starting to view WNBA executives as the villains in this story. By refusing to embrace her commercial success, the commissioner is drawing a very clear line. It is us against her. And the WNBA is going to lose that battle, just like Stephen A. cautioned. Smith warned. Cultural momentum is unstoppable, and you cannot beat the zeitgeist. Right now, Clark is that zeitgeist. Because this is the most dangerous claim, we must connect that boardroom anger directly to the violence on the court. When the commissioner and the league office openly show their displeasure with Clark's massive commercial appeal, it sends a very dangerous message to the rest of the players. Going after her is totally fine. A protective and respectful standard would be set if the commissioner treated Clark like the incredibly valuable asset she is. Instead, Engelbert essentially strips away Clark's safety by acting aloof and appearing furious about her marketing success. And we have all witnessed those brutal, hard fouls. We have watched the eye pokes and blindside hits, while the league's response to each incident has been sluggish and ineffective. Stephen A. Smith contends that this is all related. When a player makes leadership feel inadequate, they do not want to protect her. Maybe they actually want to see Clark suffer, which is why they let jungle rules apply to her. It lets them say, see, she is not really that special after all. They desperately want her knocked down a peg. But every time she gets up to shoot another commercial, she proves them wrong all over again. And Stephen A. Smith just exposed the wrong path they are taking. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if this story opened your eyes. Because this crazy drama is far from